Good morning, my friends. Happy Monday. Welcome to this special episode of Kevin at 7. I do this on most Monday mornings at 7 a.m. Last week, my father-in-law passed away, or week before last, week ago Friday. And so last week, we were dealing with his funeral and all of that. So I did not do last Friday, but I am back, or last Monday, but I am back today for this special episode of Kevin at 7. What is going to happen to the housing market? What is going to happen to the economy? What is going to happen to the real estate market in general, and when is it going to happen? That is what we're going to talk about this morning. I'm also here to answer any questions you guys have. So as you come on, post where you're from, but also post any questions that you have for this special episode of Kevin at 7. So here is one of the things that I want you to be aware of, and this is a hard truth. The market is lying to you. It's lying to us. The markets, the economy, the economic indicators are lying. And the way they're being taught is lying to us. Now, I'm going to talk about what I mean by that, because this is critical for you to understand and prepare. The most important thing is not just understanding what's going to happen, but is to prepare for what is going to happen. Because if you're prepared, then no matter what happens, you win. Right? When you're prepared, preparation always wins. Okay, the better prepared always wins especially when it comes to business. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what you got to understand about this. I'm going to do a video on this. I'm going to do a complete video on this for the next week or so, on how the markets are lying to us. So today is kind of just first glimpse at what I'm going to be talking about. So first, the stock market. The stock market is lying to you, okay? Because the stock market, I'm looking at it this morning and it's up. It's up like crazy. What is it up? Let's see. The stock market is up. The Dow Jones Industrial is up by 237 points. NASDAQ is up. S&P is up. Everything's up except gold and silver. They're down, but they're down a lot. Wow. But their upness has nothing to do with the strength of the economy. See, traditionally, if you buy stock, you're buying stock in a company, which means you're buying a piece of a company. Well, what creates the value of a company? The value of a company should be created based on the amount of profitability, the amount of earnings that company is making. But that's not the way the stock market works anymore. Okay, the stock market is completely detached from not only from the economy, it's completely detached from the actual true value of a company in terms of money that it has intervention, but it is not the increased value of the company. So what you have here is you have a stock market that is being driven based on fantasy, right? Now, how long can that happen? It's been going on for a long time now. It has become more and more that way. And it is going to keep happening for a while. So how long will this bubble keep going? I don't know the answer to that yet. I'm working on figuring that out. Number two, so that's the first way that the markets are lying to us, is that the stock market going up means things are going well, that the economy is good, that the markets are good. The second way that they are lying to us, or the markets are lying to us, is the GDP growth. So in the third quarter of 2020, they talked about the GDP had this amazing growth. It was the greatest GDP growth in history in one quarter. It was like, man, what a great recovery. Okay, well, when GDP growth comes back after GDP collapse, like we saw in the second quarter of this year, when the GDP absolutely collapsed by over 30%, then it goes back by 30%. We're like, oh, we're back to normal. And that's not true. So I want you to just think about it. If you have something and it drops by 50% and then it comes back by 50%, it's not the same. You are not in the same place. So think about it this way. If I have $100 bills, $100, okay, I have $100, and that $100, the value of the $100 drops by 50%. How much is my $100 worth? Okay, somebody type it in. I have $100 and it loses half of its value. How much is it worth right now? And the answer is $50. So that was a loss of 50% of its value. Right now, it gets back 50% of its value. So it recovers 50% of its value. So what is 50% of $50? And the answer is 50% of $50 is $25. So it recovers by 50%. So that $50 is now worth $75. So $100, it lost 50% of its value, and then it gained 50% of its value. You don't have back, you're not back at 100, you're at 75. So when they tell us that the GDP dropped by 35%, 33%, and then it goes back by 33%, or whatever the exact numbers were, it's not at the same level it was. We have not recovered. And yet they're trying to tell you that the economy is in recovery. Look around you, my friends. Look around you. Okay, you know people, jobs that are shutting down. Look at the boarded up businesses. Okay, now let's talk about real estate. So they're lying to us about the stock market. They use the numbers of the stock market to lie about what's really happening in the economy. The GDP growth, the way that's being touted is that the GDP, we're on this recovery. And I wish we were. I would love it. It's just not reality. Okay, and then there's the housing market. Now the housing market is, prices have continued to climb. Now prices have been climbing since 2010. We've been on a 10-year real estate bull market, we'll call it, on 10 years of appreciation of what they call economic expansion, which was really not economic expansion. If you go back to the 1990s, okay, even back to the 1980s, home price function of the reduction of rates than it has been the increased value of real estate. In other words, why are home prices continuing to climb now? Well, one, there's very low inventory. Why is there very low inventory? Because people are afraid to move. Nobody wants to move. Nobody's selling unless they have to sell. So that's why nobody's selling. So people that can't afford their house payments, which they haven't been able to afford for months, they've been in forbearance now for 8 months or so, depending. I mean, some of them started back. So when you have that happening, people that can't afford their house payments, they're not selling. What are they going to do? Where are they going to go? If they don't have money to pay for the house they're in now, what are they going to do when they sell? Go be able to pay for another house? So they can't make house payments now. So they're in forbearance. So they're not selling. Okay. And we're seeing this happening all over the place. Okay, but the increase in value, so inventory is low, but also prices continue to go up, partly because of demand. But the demand is because interest rates have been lowered. Why are interest rates lowered? That is the financial markets being manipulated by the feds. Okay, now we'll call it, it's not technically the government, but we'll pretend like it's basically under the government's control. So basically they are stimulating, making people think that everything is okay by lowering interest rates, which is just a reflection of how much money's really not worth. And in doing that and lowering interest rates, it means that if I can afford a $3,000 a month house payment, or $2,000, we'll say I can afford a $2,000 a month house payment. I can afford a $200 a month house payment, $2,000 a month house payment, and interest rates drop from 4% to 3%. I can buy a much more expensive house. So therefore, the houses prices can go up, and I can still buy in that neighborhood. I can still buy that house. Interest rates drop from 3% to 2.5%. Prices can go up even more, and I can still buy a house. So it is not so much that housing prices are not going up because people are making more money or because the economy is healthier or any of that. It is because interest rates are dropping, so people with less money are able to get themselves deeper into debt because the cost of money is cheap. Okay. Now, Steve just mentioned plus quantitative easing, QE, which guys, they're just been pumping money into the economy to the tune of over $4 trillion in deficit spending this year, just here in the US, in a way that is absolutely, unsustainable. Okay, it just is. It's just flat out unsustainable. There's more, but that's enough for today. Okay, just for you to understand that things are not great. So what should you be doing right now? Preparing. Okay, what do you got to be? You got to be selling houses, my friend. Right now is the time you got to be out there humping it because you get a listing. And by the way, all your lead generation should be seller focused. This is where my coaching members are crushing it, is with seller lead generation, because they're getting listings. And when you get listings now, they're sold. And when you do it right, it'll sustain itself even when the market starts to turn. But you have to be ready for all of these things. This is what we're going to be training at Agent Mastery Live 2021. We'll be opening ticket sales for that here in the next few weeks. Let me just do a little Q&A here. Hey, Kevin, what do you think inflow of real estate wholesale? Talking about wholesalers that's been around a long time. So I'm not sure if there's I'm not aware of a massive inflow, as if suddenly there's 10 times as many wholesalers as used to be. Wholesaler is somebody that finds a piece of property that is in distress or whatever, and that is typically a fixer, and they're able to buy for $100,000, but it's really worth after repairs of $200,000. They get under contract for $100,000, then they'll flip it to a rehabber for $115,000. And the rehabber will buy it for $115,000, put the $50,000 of repair into it. Now they have $165,000 into it, and they'll sell $165,000 into it, and they'll sell it for $200,000, and they'll make $35,000, and the wholesaler makes $15,000 property. So that's how wholesale works. Wholesaling is, that's been going on for a long time. I'm not aware of a massive increase in wholesalers. Guys, the person that makes the money is the one who finds the deal, right? You find a seller who wants to sell the property, you're going to make money. Okay, that's why I say all your lead generation should be seller focused. I would like to address the future impact of forbearance like you're addressing this. I would like you to address the future impact. Well, the future impact is when forbearance runs out, they got to sell. I mean, it's just the way they're moving. If they can't afford their house payment, they're moving. They're going to sell. So all those forbearance properties where people have not been paying their mortgages, can't afford the payments, they're all going to come on the market. And when you see a massive influx of supply, demand is not going to increase. Okay. You've also got the eviction, the people that haven't been paying rent, all that's going to be in play. I'm not buying anything until Kevin says it's okay. Guys, a deal has to make you money today. Okay. And it's got to make you good money. Okay, and you want to buy in a place where the economy is strong, jobs are strong, and typically not a bubble market. And a bubble market is one where home prices have just exploded compared to a lot of the other areas. They say the Fed bought up a large percentage of current mortgages. That is true, Steve. Good morning. They're also not selling because they refinance now, have much lower payment, can afford it, and there's no need to sell anymore. So totally, if people that are refinancing, if your plan to stay, it's a great time to refinance. How do you feel about wholesalers? I think wholesalers are awesome. If there's good wholesalers and there's bad wholesalers. They're just like any business. There's good agents, there's bad agents. There's good investors, bad investors. There's good rehabbers, there's bad rehabbers. So wholesalers are awesome. I think it's a great business model, and they add true value to the home housing market when they're ethical and do things right. We should be preparing to doing what exactly? What's to happen in the future? So what's happening in the future is the market's going to turn. Okay, the economy is going to go down. Market's going to turn. So what do you got to do? You want to, one, keep your business lean. Keep your business super lean. Don't get overhead. Don't go out and invest in a lot of stuff. If you people go out and rent office space when you don't need office space, right? When you don't have the cash flow for it. Don't go out and buy a new car, business expenses, overhead, spend a lot of money unless it's stuff that will make you money. Anything that you can invest in is something that by investing in it, like coaching. When the market with everything the way it is, I'm investing more money in coaching right now for myself. Okay, because I want more insight. I want better understanding. So in coaching is an investment. Lead generation services, like you're prospecting expireds and for sale by owners, investing in a service like Espresso Agent or Vulcan 7, that's something you should do because it saves you time. And if you're actually prospecting them, it will make you money. So you don't cut. There are things that are expenses, which means things that I don't really need, like hire an assistant. If you're doing a lot of work and doing a lot of deals, an assistant actually helps you make more money because it frees up more of your time to spend your time doing things that make you more money. Okay. But what I'm saying is, don't get fat. Don't get your overhead, your expenses to be fat. So that's one thing. Two, focus on seller lead generation. All seller lead generation. Okay. Expireds for sell by owners, motivated ones, downsizers is awesome. People that are looking at downsizing, investors, all the investors out there are great. And the best place is building the relationships, people that you already know, and asking them for business. And people are afraid to do all this. Guys, here's how you make money. You ask for the business, period. That's the way you do it. You ask for the business. You ask for the business. Now you got to be good. Okay, period. That's going to happen. Thank you, Steve. Of course, I believe in coaching. Okay, I spend more money on coaching than anybody else that's watching me. That's for sure. Been approved for a VA loan, but home prices are out of reach, too expensive. Okay, questions. What can we do as real estate agents to help with this issue? I know listing properties will help, but only a handful of agents are listing properties. Well, Lewis, you got to be one of the handful, bro. That period. What are you thinking? The average real estate agent does 2 or 3 or 4 deals a year. That's starvation. Okay, that's not you go pro and you become the best, and you're going to make a lot of money. Okay, and yes, there's only going to be a few agents, but that's the way it's always been. Okay, 80% of real estate agents are going to fail in the first 80. What is it? 80% fail in 2 years. Guys, back in 2008 to 2010, over 400,000 realtors got out of the business. They weren't prepared. Okay. I don't see an economy downturn as long as the interest rates stay low. What factors you take into consideration to assume you're going to have a downturn anytime soon? Basilio, I'm not sure if you were listening to this whole thing or not. But that's stuff that I just went over of all the things that I'm taking into consideration. Okay. And you can add on to the stuff. All the business failures, business closures, and what I'm saying, permanent business closures, bankruptcies, that kind of stuff, jobs, people getting paid less, making less money, businesses that are out of business that are closed, businesses that have had COVID and that has been put on us. So you've got millions of mortgages that are extremely delinquent by over 90 days. Now that includes those that are in forbearance, but when that comes to an end, what are people going to do? And a lot of them are going to put the house on the market. When all of a sudden you have a flood of inventory, prices are going to drop. Okay, it's just going to happen. And the day comes when all this stuff, taxes are, presuming that Biden has won, taxes are going to go up. So if you're making money, you're going to be paying more to the government. Government's going to continue to increase its control. Best advice for a new agent in this market: Jesus, get coached, because you got to know what to do, and you got to know what to do and how to do it to get business. Okay, it's not going to get easier, and you've got your Zillows and your Realtor.com, all these online platforms that are going to take more of the market share. It's just going to happen. So the agents that are going to survive are the ones that actually deliver a higher quality service, higher level, better results. You've got to be better than you had to be. All right. I'm a realtor who helps people, their clients understand housing basics. I wish more realtors were involved in the community. Good. I think that's all the questions you guys got. Best advice. Yep. Got that one. Jesus, if you're brand new and you want to get and check out my training, go to agentpowerlaunch.com, agentpowerlaunch.com. If you're brand new, broke, or whatever, just want to check out my stuff, you can, there's a link. I'll have to post it here for Agent Power Pack. Go to YesMasters.com, and on the homepage, you can opt in for the new Agent Power Pack. Okay. It's just it's really kind of a framework to get you started as a real estate agent. Okay. It's got my agent success blueprint. It's got my core scripts, lead generation, lead follow-up scripts, pre-qualifying scripts, analyst and presentation scripts, and a cheat sheet on how to do a CMA. It's called the Agent Power Pack. Go to YesMasters.com and get that. If you haven't got that, every one of you should get that. Because it's got some really great content in there that will help you. That's totally free. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today. Have a great week. Play to win, and always expect yes. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving here for those of you in the U.S. Hope you have an absolutely awesome week. and a great Thanksgiving. Thanks, everybody.